Think about this. We wouldn't let just anyone perform surgery on us, right? We wouldn't let just anyone teach our kids. Heck, you can't even drive without passing a written and practical test. But somehow anyone can run a country. Seriously, anyone. They just need enough money and a name. So am I the only one who thinks that's wild? Here's the thing. Politics is probably the most important job in society. Policies made by elected officials affect our healthcare, education, the environment, taxes, literally everything. Yet there are no universal minimum qualifications in Canada. None. You don't have to study political science or economics, law, nothing. If you can fund a campaign and get popular enough, you're in. Think about how we hold other jobs set to strict standards, though. Doctors, minimum 8 years of university, board exams, residency. Teachers, post-secondary degree, certification, classroom experience. Even taxi drivers need to prove they can actually drive safely. But to run a country, if you can afford a billboard in a campaign, that's apparently enough. Now, you might be thinking, but Canada's different, right? Not really. In Canada, the bar to run for premier is just as low. Sure, you need to be a Canadian citizen and at least 18 years of age. But beyond that, there's no requirement for education in governance, law, economics, or anything related. You don't need to have managed a team, balanced a budget, or even passed a civics test. Take Ontario Premier Doug Ford. Ford only has a high school diploma. While he did enroll at Humber College, he dropped out after just 2 weeks. And yet, here he is running one of Canada's largest provinces, making decisions that affect millions of people. Makes you stop and think. We hold doctors, teachers, even taxi drivers to strict qualifications. Why do we think that anyone with just some money and a familiar name can run a province? And research backs that up. It shows that lack of competence and leadership directly harms societies. Countries with leaders who had minimal real-world education, experience, and understanding of governance outside of politics tend to have weaker economies, poor public health outcomes, and lower citizen trust. Meanwhile, when leaders have strong expertise in relevant areas, policy outcomes are better. Harvard political scientists like Daron Acemoglu have shown that institutional quality matters, and leadership competence is key to strong institutions. So here's a radical thought. What if we treated running a government just like any other professional job? What if there were minimum qualifications in terms of education, experience, and proven leadership skills before you could even run? What if there was an application and vetting process? Perhaps even a mentorship or internship process. That way you wouldn't be just choosing a name or a personality. You'd be choosing competence. It's worked elsewhere. Countries like Singapore, for example, actively recruit and train leaders based on merit and experience. And it's wisely praised for consistent, competent governance, strong economic growth, and low corruption. Leaders typically have advanced education, public service experience, and track records of performance. France has the ENA, Ecole nationale d'administration, a training ground for France's top civil servants, and it acts as a pipeline for high-level political leadership. The Nordic countries as well maintain internal talent programs, mentorships, and systematic training for elected officials. And in Germany, candidates are expected to have relevant professional or academic backgrounds. But yeah, democracy is about choice. Maybe we've just taken the anyone can run a little bit too far. And if you think about it, we have set high standards for the educational quality and previous job experience even for people who wish to immigrate to Canada. And yet they probably will never be prime minister. Why do we not have equally rigorous requirements for anybody wishing to hold the most powerful office in our country? Imagine a world where the people running your city, your province, your country actually knew what they were doing. Sounds crazy, right? But maybe it shouldn't be. Peace out. And if you're not already following me, you should. It's going to be a ride.